Welcome back. Experts have raised concerns about dangers associated with posting children's photos on social media. Integrated Emergency Response says there are predators who spend their time looking for children and teenagers they can exploit for sexual and violent purposes. International legal consultant and human rights lawyer Ipileng Matuba joins us for more on this discussion. A very good evening to you, Ipileng. Thank you so much for joining us. I guess let's start about the risks of posting children on social media. It's such a fun thing to do. Also, the holidays are coming up and the kids are going to be looking cute and you're going to take a little video. Next thing, it goes viral. What are the do's and don'ts? What are these risks?
Good evening, Masa. Thank you for having me. And you raised very important points about specifically during holiday seasons when people are responding to the natural joy that comes with posting on social media, sharing, family moments, moments of nostalgia. And some of the risks that come with posting children specifically, or anybody, is a consent issue. Children are under the guardianship of legal guardians or parents who make decisions for them. And as time goes by, you realize that you are creating a digital footprint for your child or one's child on the internet without necessarily having them participate in whether or not they would appreciate or want that. And that's where, as you said, some predators or some people who take advantage of such posts can gather information and start to collate data on children and families at large.
And that sounds very dangerous too. And speaking about consent and the holiday seasons, lots of time spent with family. Now, your sister or your brother or a relative comes and they want to take pictures of your child and post them on their social media. What recourse do parents have to say, look, you may take pictures, but please don't post them, but then what if they are posted?
Yes, so ideally you would be around people who understand your parenting style or the decisions you'd want to make in terms of exposing children through the internet. But there are certain policy considerations that most platforms have where you as a parent can go to the platform and request a takedown based on certain data. You'll have to prove parenthood, reasons as to how consent was not reached, and various mechanisms that each platform has embedded in their particular websites.
Because sometimes it may seem just innocent, just taking a picture of someone's child or said or did a cute thing and then you put it online and next thing it's gone viral. So sometimes the intention is not malicious.
Yes.
Does the law bear that into mind as well?
Yes, definitely, because when it comes to violating certain laws, intent is a big requirement. And in order to prove damage towards another in this capacity, for example, one would have to really show that there was a malicious intent to exploit a child or to do something untoward or that is unlawful with regards to how those children are exposed. Even if the attempt to expose was unintentional or non-malicious, those are the mitigating factors that one would have to consider.
Now, there are those who actually do want their children on social media. We've got the Kidfluencer phenomenon as well, and that is rightful as well if you want to go down that route. What does the law say in South Africa and internationally when it comes to kidfluencing? Because in that case, there's the consent, yes, from the child, but mostly from their guardian.
Yes, so ideally in a kidfluencer world, you'd want to have contracts regulate the gaps in legislation where, for example, South Africa's Children's Act doesn't speak to those kinds of stringent, narrowly tailored legal requirements to protect the best interests of the child. And when it comes to child labor, for example, it's not as if this is forced child labor. This is child labor that is monetized or commercialized, and the way in which certain contracts or kid influencers are regulated is still under development globally, with France actually being the leaders in terms of having incorporated those considerations and understanding the creator economy and the way in which, for example, the money that children make, which is a lot, from these influential posts or brand partnerships, that kind of regulation has been stringently tailored towards the French legal system. The UK has something similar, the US something similar, and South Africa hasn't quite specified the requirements that would be specific to kidfluencers, but there are Labour Relations Acts and other policy considerations from advertising regulation boards, the Film and Publication Board, that do speak to that, but a contract would be the best way with an agent or the platform to hold everybody accountable whilst we develop legislation.
So, Ipileng, while South Africa may be lagging behind a little bit when it comes to the policy framework, there are some guidelines that parents and guardians can go to if they want to enter that space. And I wanted to ask for tips, for those parents and guardians who do want their kids to enter that space, but they obviously don't want to have their child being exploited.
Yes. So the best way, as I said, you need a team, right? A team of experts who can also guide parents who maybe want to fill managerial roles or just supporting roles to their children, because at the end of the day, it's the child's interest and the child is the rights holder as opposed to the guardian or the parents. So having a lawyer who is able to understand how exploitation works, the consequences of such exploitation, or even the commercial aspects of just having this be something that a child fulfills as a dream, being able to take the steps that you would for any job, looking at labor relations, looking to see that these hours that children spend creating content for commercial purposes doesn't interfere with their rights to education or, different aspects of healthcare, children's rights to food, basic fundamental rights that ought to be more specially protected for children because they don't have capacity to act per se.
Speaking about rights to education as well, I think, before the social media era, the kidfluencers were the child stars.
Yes.
And labor laws, child labor laws also evolved with that industry as well. Would you say that that's reached a far more mature space in terms of our laws and regulating that space, the child labor laws for acting, for instance, on mainstream television versus social media?
Absolutely, and these are great frameworks to use as a guideline for the development of kidfluencers specifically, because the laws have not caught up as rapidly as social media and the creator economy has grown over the past couple of years. So using a replica of those laws that have been in place for a very long time, where that comes to aspects of having a guild that specifically regulates children who are online and have an online presence, or children who need other aspects of unionization, but that isn't directly related to their parents because that can create conflicts of interest. So in terms of the development of kidfluencers or online social media usage specifically, there is a good opportunity to replicate those laws and tailor them for the internet.
Also because in a lot of the cases, it's a case of, you took a very cute video, you put it online, and then next thing you realize that your child has this star quality and you just a parent who was just, posting a cute video, and next thing you're a manager.
Yes.
But as you say, you need a team.
Absolutely. And I think people don't necessarily expect that their children will go viral because everybody thinks their child is cute at the end of the day. And when that happens, it doesn't necessarily mean you need to commercialize on that moment. You can also just enjoy it. But there is an opportunity for future growth in terms of the commercialization when it's highly regulated, and aspects such as opening a trust account through which money from that commercialization is held in a trust for the child until they reach majority age can also help parents who don't have managerial skills or financial responsibility skills really safeguard and always put the child at the forefront of their ambitions.
Ipileng, it was so fascinating having this conversation, especially ahead of the holiday season. I'm sure a lot of people gained a lot of insights. Appreciate your time, and thank you for coming into studio.
Thank you, Masa.
That, of course, was Ipileng Motuba, who's an international legal consultant and human rights lawyer.